The first station, Jesus is condemned to death.
From the Gospel according to Luke. A third time he said to them, "Why, what evil has he done? I have found in him no ground for the sentence of death. I will therefore have him flogged and then release him." But they kept urgently demanding with loud shouts that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate gave his verdict that their demand should be granted. He released the man they asked for, the one who had been put in prison for insurrection and murder, and handed Jesus over as they wished.
I see you, Jesus, standing before the governor, who tries 3 times to oppose the will of the people and finally decides not to decide. I see you standing before the crowd. They are asked 3 times, and each time they decide against you. The crowd, in other words, everyone and no one. Hidden in the throng, we lose our individuality. We become the voice of 1,000 other voices. Even before we deny you, we deny ourselves, diluting our own responsibility in the seething tide of a faceless crowd. And yet, we are responsible. Misled by the rabble-rousers, by the evil that insinuates itself with a deceitful and deafening voice, it is we, all humanity, who condemn you. Today, we are horrified at so great an injustice, we don't want to be part of it. But in this way, we forget all those times when we ourselves were ready to save Barabbas over you. All those times when our ears were deaf to the voice of goodness, when we preferred not to see the injustice all around us. In that crowded square, it would have been enough for a single heart to hesitate, for a single voice to be raised against the 1,000 voices of evil. Whenever life sets before us a decision to be made, let us be reminded of that square and that mistake. Let us allow our hearts to hesitate and command our voices to speak out.
I ask you, Lord, keep watch over our decisions. Bring them clarity by your light, and lead us to ask the right questions. Evil alone never doubts. Trees that sink their roots in the ground wither, if watered by evil. But you have set our roots in heaven, and our branches on earth, to know and follow you.
The second station, Jesus receives the cross.
From the Gospel according to Mark. Jesus called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it."
I see you, Jesus, crowned with thorns as you receive your cross. You accept it as you always accept everything and everyone. They burden you with its wood, heavy and rough. Yet you do not rebel. You do not reject that unjust and humiliating instrument of torture. You take it up and begin to walk, carrying it on your shoulders. How many times I have rebelled in anger against burdens I have received, viewing them as heavy or unjust. That's not your way. Nowadays, we would consider you still young, but you are accepting. You take seriously what life offers you, every opportunity it presents, as if you wanted to go to the very heart of things, to discover that there is always something beyond appearances, something remarkable and meaningful. Thanks to you, I understand that this is a cross of salvation and liberation, a cross that bears me up whenever I stumble, a yoke that is easy, a burden that is light. The scandal of the death of God's Son, a sinner's death, a criminal's death, grants us the grace to discover amid sorrow your resurrection, amid suffering your glory, amid anguish your salvation. And the cross itself, which speaks to us of humiliation and pain, is now revealed, thanks to your sacrifice, as a promise that from every death new life will arise, and in every dark place light will shine. And so we can cry out, "Hail, Holy Cross, our one hope."
I ask you, Lord, that in the light of the cross, the symbol of our faith, we may accept our sufferings and, enlightened by your love, embrace our own crosses, made glorious by your death and resurrection. Give us the grace to look back on the story of our lives and to rediscover in them your love for us.
The third station, Jesus falls the first time.
From the book of the prophet Isaiah. Surely he has borne our infirmities and carried our diseases. Yet we accounted him stricken, struck down by God, and afflicted.
I see you, Jesus, making your way to Calvary bearing our sins. I see you fall, hands and knees on the ground in pain. With what great humility did you fall? And what great humiliation you now endure. Your human nature, your true personhood is clearly seen in this fragment of your life. The cross you carry is a heavy one. You need help to carry it, but when you fall to the ground, no one helps you. Instead, people make fun of you. They laugh at the sight of a God who falls. Perhaps they're disappointed. Perhaps they had a mistaken idea of who you are. Sometimes we think that having faith in you means never falling in life. Together with you, I also fall, and my ideas with me. Those ideas I had about you, how fragile they were. I see you, Jesus, as you grit your teeth and, in complete surrender to the love of the Father, you get up and resume your journey. With these, your first faltering steps beneath the cross, Jesus, you remind me of a child taking his first steps in life, losing balance, falls and cries, but then keeps going. The child trusts in the hands of their parents and does not give up. They're afraid, but keep walking, because trust is stronger than fear. By your courage, you teach us that our failures and falls must never halt our journey, and that we always have a choice: to give up or to get up in union with you.
I ask you, Lord, give us the courage to get up after every fall, as you did on the way to Calvary. Grant that we may always appreciate the great and precious gift of life, and that our failures and falls may never be a reason for throwing it away. We know that if we trust in you, we will be able to get up again and find the strength to keep going always.
The fourth station, Jesus meets his mother.
From the Gospel according to Luke. Simeon blessed them and said to his mother Mary, "This child is destined for the falling and the rising of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be opposed, so that the inner thoughts of many will be revealed, and a sword will pierce your own soul too."
I see you, Jesus, as you meet your mother. Mary is there, making her way through the crowded street with many persons all around her. The only thing that makes her different from the others is the fact that she is there to accompany her son. Something we see every day. Mothers accompanying their children to school or to the doctor or bringing them to work. Yet Mary is different from other mothers. She's accompanying her son to his death. To see your own child is the worst, the most unnatural thing that anyone could imagine for a person. And it is also the more atrocious if that child is dying at the hands of the law. How unnatural and unjust is this scene before my eyes. My own mother instilled in me a sense of justice and trust in life, but what I see today has nothing to do with that. It is senseless and painful. I see you, Mary, as you look at your poor child. He bears on his back the marks of the scourge, yet he is forced to carry the weight of the cross. Soon, no doubt, in his exhaustion, he will fall beneath it. Yet you knew that sooner or later, this would happen. It was prophesied to you. But now that it is taking place, everything is different. That is how things are. We are always unprepared for the harsh realities of life. Mary, now you are sorrowful, as any woman would be in your place. But you do not despair. Your eyes are undimmed. You are not forlorn and downcast. You are radiant, even in your sorrow, because you have hope. You know that this journey of your son will not be a one-way trip. You know, you feel, as only mothers can feel, that soon you will see him again.
I ask you, Lord, help us always to keep before our eyes the example of Mary, who accepted the death of her son as a great mystery of salvation. Help us to act with our gaze fixed on the good of others, and to die in hope of the resurrection, conscious that we are never alone or abandoned by God or Mary, the loving mother ever concerned for her children.
The fifth station, Simon of Cyrene helps Jesus to carry the cross.
From the Gospel according to Luke. As they led him away, they seized a man, Simon of Cyrene, who was coming from the country, and they laid the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus.
I see you, Jesus, crushed beneath the weight of the cross. I see that you can't do it alone. At your moment of greatest need, you remain alone, without those who called themselves your friends. Judas betrayed you. Peter denied you. The others abandoned you. Yet suddenly there is an unexpected encounter with someone unknown, a mere passerby who perhaps had only heard about you and not followed you. Yet now here he is, at your side, shoulder to share your yoke. His name is Simon, and he is a stranger come from afar, from Cyrene. For him today something unexpected happens, which becomes an encounter. Every day we experience any number of encounters and conflicts, especially those of us who are young. We continually encounter new experiences and new people in unexpected meetings, in accidental events, in strange surprises. There are hidden opportunities to love, to see the best in our neighbours, even those who seem different from ourselves. At times, Jesus, we feel like you, abandoned by those we thought were our friends, crushed by a heavy burden. Yet we must not forget that there is a Simon of Cyrene ready to carry our cross. We must remember that we are not alone, and in that realization, we will find the strength to take up the cross of those around us. I see you, Jesus. Now you seem to be experiencing a bit of relief. You manage momentarily to catch your breath now that you are no longer alone. I also see Simon. Who knows if he has realized that your yoke is light, and if he appreciates the meaning of this unexpected event in his life.
I ask you, Lord, to give each of us the courage to be like Simon of Cyrene, who takes up your cross and follows in your steps. May each of us be sufficiently humble and strong to take up the crosses of those whom we meet. Grant that when we feel alone, we may recognize on our journey a Simon of Cyrene, who will halt and help bear our burden. Grant that we may see the best in every person and be open to all different kinds of encounter. I ask that each of us may unexpectedly find himself or herself walking at your side.